Hi, everyone. Thank you for clicking the link and for learning a little bit more about synchronous learning and what it means for Whitley County Consolidated Schools. As we look at the existing environment, we've been one-to-one for a number of years now. Synchronous learning as a transition from the traditional e-learning format provides real-time instruction and interaction between our staff and our students, and it provides a little bit more continuity in the flow of learning for the content and the concepts that you're discussing in the classroom at the time that the school cancellation is called. As we know, e-learning is not the best format, and students learn best when they have a teacher, when they're in front of a teacher um, who's an expert in the content area. And so the goal with synchronous learning is to kind of shift our format, provide that real-time instruction and review for students, and give kids an opportunity to engage and ask questions in a way that e-learning never could provide. As you think about e-learning, below in this email, there are a couple of links related to what synchronous learning looks like for you. Whether you're an elementary teacher, a middle school, or high school teacher, you'll see in those documents a summary of what the class schedule might look like, the day's schedule would look like. You'll see a little bit of information about what instruction and class expectations might be. You'll see some information about attendance, about different employee groups, and what, again, work expectations would be for those. And you'll also see in these links some information that is very specifically related to student attendance. And so as you review those, again, keeping in mind these documents are guidance documents for our staff. These are documents that are going to be expanded upon even further by your building principals. Again, as you flesh out what does this look like for you at your grade level in your department, maybe even for your team or for your building. And so these documents are a framework for WCCS's synchronous learning format, but certainly it's not the end all be all for what this might look like. I want to make two really important points as we think about synchronous learning. The first is the goal of synchronous learning is to maintain what I'm going to call the continuity of instruction. And what that means essentially is that the instruction of the day should be timely and relevant. With e-learning, too often we would see a hard pause in learning, and the activities may or may not, depending on the grade level, always align with the work that is being done in the classroom at the same time. And so our focus with synchronous learning and your focus for synchronous learning doesn't need to be new, doesn't need to be big, doesn't need to be this huge endeavor or workload on your part. It simply needs to be timely and relevant information and instruction for kids. The goal of this, again, is to be able to utilize the time available to engage with kids on one-on-one. And again, it can't go without saying, we don't have a lot of time in our classrooms to pause. Sometimes we don't have a lot of time to get to know our kids, to interact, to ask questions. And so as you think about synchronous learning, I would encourage you to think about it from a twofold front. What can you do that's going to help kids understand the concept or get a better feel for the ideas of the day? So that might mean you're reviewing what yesterday's instruction was. Maybe the kids had homework. You want to spend some time during your synchronous period covering that. Or perhaps you want to look ahead. You want to forecast out. Maybe you're working on a project, and in the next couple of days, here's what the timeline looks like for that. The other piece I would really encourage you to do is to get to know your students. Take some time, learn where they're struggling, maybe with your class, maybe in other areas. Again, think about this as a welcome break where you can actually have conversations with students that is low demand, low impact, and maybe even low pressure, and that doesn't force the focus to always be on academics. As you're kind of thinking through the day, though, again, don't be overwhelmed by the idea that I have to do new, and more. The focus really here is to slow down, to have conversations with kids. Maybe you're providing a new lesson. Maybe you're providing a review lesson. Maybe you're providing a one-on-one lesson or a small group lesson during the time that's available. But certainly use that time to your advantage. And again, to engage with students in a way that's meaningful, that's relevant, and that's timely. As you review these, again, reach out to your building principals. We're going to continue to have conversations about synchronous learning and what this looks like. When you do your synchronous practice day with students, make sure you're engaging with them. Can they get to the places they need to be? Can they do the things that they're going to need to do in your classroom? I would encourage you to take a look at, again, Google Classroom, the video that Jen and I put together for synchronous learning, but really just for its features to kind of think through what this could look like. But ultimately, during that practice day, spend some time just getting to know kids, what their challenges are going to be, so that way you're better prepared as the teacher to be able to help them navigate those challenges on a day where you're going to be, again, a little bit more remote. Certainly, if you have questions, I'd love to talk. Reach out to your principals. We can kind of continue to revise and set forth some plans. But again, take a look at the documents below this email. Click through. Again, this might stimulate some conversations with your peers. And then from there, we can move forward to make sure that this is a positive and welcoming experience for our kids, and that it's a good experience for you guys, and that ultimately it is doing what synchronous learning should be doing, which is advancing academics, advancing learning, advancing student comfort and understanding of the concepts being taught in your class. Thank you so much. Hope you have a great weekend. Appreciate the time. Let me know how I can help.